Today we're going to look at creating a website from Markdown using a technology called Jekyll. Before we get started, please go ahead and install Ruby and an IDE of your choice. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. Let's begin. I've created a directory for today's exercise. Now, because we have Ruby installed, we can use Gem to install Bundler and Jekyll. Do that with Gem install Bundler and Jekyll. We got our two gems installed. Now we can implement a Jekyll template in the current directory, which is empty, by doing Jekyll, new, and then current directory. Did it work? Let's find out. Bundle, exec, Jekyll, serve. And this will run our website, assuming that everything went well. Oh no. Well, turns out on some versions, they don't include WebRook anymore. So if we do bundle, add, WebRook, that's this guy here. Then we exec Jekyll serve. It'll work now. And if you navigate to localhost 4000, presently it'll show our website. This is the implementation of the default template. We open this up in Visual Studio Code. This is the output from running Jekyll new in the current directory. You'll note it's got some markdown files. Namely, it's got a home page, that's what we were just looking at. It's also an about page, some posts, some site. Generally, it's just got the markdown stuff and then the gem file for executing the Ruby components of Jekyll. At its simplest, any markdown file in this directory, right, in the root directory, it's going to be processed for inclusion in the HTML hosted output from Jekyll. So let's go ahead and fetch the fruit markdown file from the markdown exercise. Go ahead and collect this content here. And let's create a new file here, fruit.md, and paste that within here. That's great. By itself, it won't actually be processed as output in the current Jekyll theme. So we're going to add what's called front matter to the top. This is just some quick YAML description of the file. We're going to choose a layout, which is going to be the page layout. So now this can hypothetically be processed as a page within our Jekyll site. I've run bundle exec Jekyll serve again, and I'm going to navigate over here. If I go to /fruit, then we note, hey, fruit's being processed here. This is HTML from the fruit markdown. So within each file, we have this notion of front matter, which is YAML expression of variables about that specific page or that specific document. We can demonstrate this more interestingly by adding a favorite fruit, which is banana, specific to this document. And then we can actually create a new header here, a new heading underneath fruit, which is favorites. And we can use double brackets here, page.favorite fruit. This is going to pull from this page's favorite fruit variable. And so if we save this and we go back and make sure we're hosting, it regenerated. That's great. We go to our fruit page and we refresh. Banana, which is our variable, was output. So this was a variable within the context of the page, but we'd also do a global site-wide declaration of variables in the _config.yaml. So if we go in here and just pick somewhere and say favorite fruit, and for the site context, we'll say it's a green apple. And we go back to fruit, we can say instead of page, right, we can say site. This should be a site-wide favorite fruit. Now, I am still hosting, but the change in config didn't trigger a regeneration. So we actually have to stop and rehost. But once we do that, we should be able to refresh here. And you'll note green apple showed up. It didn't process perfectly, but if we add another space, it'll probably look better. Yeah, much better. Jekyll gives special consideration to the concept of blog posts. So by default in this template with this theme, it already comes with an _posts directory and a specific file within that. And if we looked at the main page, you'll note that it included the post linked on the front page. So you'll see it's got welcome to Jekyll. That's actually our file named 2021-1010, welcome to Jekyll. So the theme is iterating over these posts already, which is super cool. You can just copy this. And if you go back to the site now and refresh, it's already iterating over that. That's the theme. If we go to config.yaml, we see minima. The minima theme is doing that. And that's because in the index markdown, it's got home as the layout. The theme defines a layout for home, which includes iterating over posts. Let me quickly illustrate that the minima theme by default includes home, page, and post as layouts. And in the home page, it's going out of its way to iterate over things like posts and include for each post that link. That's why on our main page we see the posts being iterated on, so that we can just quickly illustrate that when you include items in the posts directory, they're being generated into this. Let's create a new post. Let's take fruit and let's change it from a page to a post. Let's drag it up into the post directory, change page to post. And then we also have to include, by nature of it being a post, we have to include a date. So let's go out of our way here, and let's say it's the 1999 January 1st, and the title will be fruit. This is a really old post. It's from a while ago now. We refresh, we now see January 1st, 1999, that's fruit, and this is our post. If we go a step further, we can actually change this date here to 2040, the year 2040. It's the fruit of the future. If we go back and we refresh, it's gone. What's interesting to note is this theme is actually filtering for us. It's preventing us from showing the a future date. Before we move on, I'll just quickly rename this to 2020 January 1st. That way it's shown again. Another concept that Jekyll actively supports is data. So you can use YAML, JSON, CSV, or TSV just as a data file. And to do that, you would create a underscore data directory. Let's create a fruit definition of fruit.yaml. Now we've got our very important data. Let's go and iterate on that data in our post. We create a new heading here called data. We can actually go further and we can iterate on the site data. So for fruit in site data fruit, right? Where site data fruit, just the fruit ties to the name of the file. We can go ahead and express some markdown. The fruit named, and if we recall, it's name and tasty. So the fruit named, fruit.name, is generally tasty. And data suggests that this is fruit.tasty to indicate whether or not it was true. Cool. I'm going to improve some spacing real quick. And maybe we can emphasize this. So we'll say, hey, this is going to be bold. It's our fruit name. It's really important. And maybe for fruit.tasty, let's indicate it's sort of more emphasis. Yeah. Cool. Now, if we look at what's generated from that, fruit named apple is generally tasty. Data suggests this is true. Right? We iterate through it. It says that for each data point. The last thing I wanted to highlight was that Jekyll supports themes. So you'll note we have this awesome header with a little link. Our posts look generally like this. That's all defined by a singular theme, which is currently minima. We go back to our code and we look at the config YAML. There. We have this theme minima. And minima is a dependency that we brought in. Right? That's the gem file is declaring we want minima. But if we wanted to, we could add to that, right? We could add to that list of things that we're bringing in, right? So we could say gem Jekyll theme minimal, which is just another theme. It's out there, a bunch of themes out there. And then we can go ahead and install that, right? We can do a bundle install. I'm gonna terminate that. Bundle install. We'll say, hey, let's grab all of those dependencies and bring them in. And then if we we have to adjust the config file, and remember that doesn't persist if you are already serving. Let's change this. Right here will be Jekyll theme minimal. Excellent. So we changed our gem file, changed our config, we ran bundle install, and now we're going to serve. Awesome. You'll note right here it's giving us some warnings. Page as a layout no longer exists. Home as a layout no longer exists. So if we go to our post, because posts apparently worked fine, whoa, completely different layout. But I bet if we go to the main page, yeah, there's no layout for this home page, so it's just a blank document. The post, all good. Today, we covered how to use Jekyll to convert Markdown into a website. We went over a number of different topics, including how to declare page or site variables, how to simply convert a Markdown into an HTML file, how to declare different layouts within your page, how to create posts or data files, how to leverage those in other aspects of your website, how to adjust your theme. There's a lot of parts of Jekyll. It's surprisingly complex, but made pretty simple for you as a developer. If you are curious about additional parts of Jekyll, there's plenty of links down below I'll include in the description, which will include things like the Jekyll documentation or just a Markdown cheat sheet, how does bundler work, or different aspects of the themes, minima and minimal, which were demonstrated in today's examples. If you don't have time to do that, well, congrats on a non-zero day.